Occurred, the 20th of August 1987, 23 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds local location. Crown Point, IN, USA shape. Disk duration, unknown, no of observers. 2 characteristics. Aura or haze around object. Emitted beams, electrical or magnetic effects, sighting of disc-shape object. Lost time, possible after effects. Myself and a date were driving home and were approximately 2 blocks from my house, when the car stopped in front of what was at that time a cornfield. All I remember is looking to my right out the window and seeing a large disc-shaped object hovering approximately 50 feet in the air over the field. I could only see the underside of the object, but it was radiating a pink light which lit up the whole car. I remember a very powerful vibrating humming sound which sent a numbing and tingling sensation through my body, almost like what I imagine an electric shock would feel like. I turned my head away from the object to look at my date, saying, "Oh my God," as I turned my head, and it felt like I was moving and speaking in slow motion. I remember nothing else except that I arrived home at approximately 1:30 a.m., and do not recall how I got home or what happened. I never spoke of that night to anyone until about 5 years ago, and I only told my mother and 2 of my closest friends. Since that time I have ran into the person I was with, but have never had the courage to ask him about that night, because it sounds so crazy. Since that time, I have experienced what a neurologist told me is probably a sleep disorder called sleep paralysis. I will be on the verge of sleep, but still aware of what is going on around me, and I get a buzzing sound in my head, which progressively gets louder and louder. Then what feels like an electric wave runs through my body, causing that same tingling and numbness feeling that I experienced that night. When this happens, I am completely paralyzed, then I don't remember anything else. I either pass out or fall asleep or something. This happened approximately every 3 months until the last year, during which time it seems to have stopped. I am very skeptical, and have analyzed this, wondering if it really happened or if it was a dream, yet it is still so vivid and such a strong sensation. I am an educated person, am not delusional, and am of very sound mind, but yet when EAK of W hat I saw, it sounds crazy, even to myself. NUFORC note. Date is approximate. We know nothing about sleep paralysis, although it frequently is cited as a source of suspected UFO abductions. We observe that UFO abductions could be an adequate explanation for the phenomenon of sleep paralysis. PD.
Occurred, the 26th of February 1999, 4 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds local location. Crown Point, IN, USA shape. Light duration, 1 minute, no of observers. 1 characteristics. Lights on object, aura or haze around object, a bright light with red highlights. It also had dim white lights in a sphere shape approximately 8 lights. I noticed this bright light at 4 am in the southeast. It seemed to be hovering or fixed in one spot for about 45 seconds. Then it started to move towards the north. I noticed it had approximately 8 dim lights on it in the shape of a sphere. Soon after I noticed the dim lights, the object turned 90 degrees to the east and sped out of sight in the matter seconds.
Occurred, the 8th of July 1999, 13 hours 15 minutes and 0 seconds local location. Crown Point, IN, USA shape. Other duration, 2 minutes, no of observers. 2 My son and I witnessed what looked like a jet fly over our house. Except that the arrow-like shape of it does not look like anything we can match with known jets. At between 13:15 and 13:30, my son was walking from the garage to the house when he began calling me frantically to come outside to see a jet flying over. He said that he heard it coming and it had an additional sound like the whirring of a helicopter along with the jet sound, so he waited outside for it to go overhead. I was amazed at what I saw. My first thought was that it had to be experimental. The entire craft could best be described as arrow-shaped and a silver goldish color. Not a chrome silver but not iron gray either. It was flying fairly low like a plane in a holding pattern would do at a small airport. How high that is in feet I don't know. The jet was flying straight north, the direction helicopters fly over our house all the time and only just a little higher than that. It was the size of a medium-sized commercial passenger plane. We watched it fly over for almost a minute before it was lost behind the trees, so it was not going fast. I did not hear the whirring sound my son heard, and we could hear each other talking, so it could not have been very loud. No high whining sound like a jet makes, and it was low enough to be deafening. I pointed things out to my son as it was going over and said, "Now quickly go draw a picture of it before you forget what it looks like." The front of it was very much shaped like a wide arrowhead, rather than more pointed with what looked like antennas pointing towards the back from the 2 points. Then there was a very long middle section, disproportionate from the rest. Too thin and too long, and round like a pencil. It didn't seem to make sense. We had time to talk about what it could be for while we watched it go overhead. We didn't notice any markings or outside antennas on this section. It seemed to be completely sleek. The tail section was much larger than the front section by at least 3 to 1 and reminded me more of the stealth design in its shape, only the edges were far less rounded. On the back I saw 2 round, large, black shapes. My husband said they sounded like thrusters. I thought they were landing wheels but bigger. And I saw a little of what looked like cages on top of each side. My husband said these sounded like intakes. I remember seeing an antenna sticking up somewhere and fins sticking up on each side. The back section was more familiar and less remarkable than the rest of it. The rest of it was very remarkable. In fact, the front of it looked so flat that it looked more like it had rudders on each side of a long pencil than anything else. The back was flattened also, but not to that degree. Nothing like a cockpit was seen. I very much think it was some kind of fighter jet and wonder if it was coming from a military base my son says is south of here. But why would it fly so low straight into the Gary, Indiana airport traffic, and why at such a conspicuous time of day? We have been looking for something online for a few days to see if anyone else has seen anything like it. We even looked at Boeing and Lockheed's homepages to see if we could get a clue as to its design and origin and found nothing. We thought you might have heard something about it and it might explain some other sightings in the area that were less visible. I am a 38-year-old mother of 5 children and my son is 17, working at a Bible conference grounds and an avid computer enthusiast. I don't know if you can let me know anything about this, but we are very curious and would appreciate it if you could fill us in. Thanks for your time.
Occurred, the 22nd of November 2001, 16 hours 15 minutes and 0 seconds. Local location, Crown Point, IN, USA. Shape, fireball. Duration, 20 minutes. Know of observers, 3 characteristics. Left a trail, changed colo 2 fireballs or meteors seen low in the sky southwest of Crown Point, and there were 2 large fireball-like UFOs seen in the light of day. They were southwest in location and low in the horizon. They were very bright and left smoky dark black trails behind them. They moved very slowly downward over a 20-minute time period. We have no idea exactly what they were, but they were very bright and so slow that we knew they were not planes, so figure they must be meteors or fireballs. We were so excited and didn't know who to inform of these strange sightings. Glad to have found this website. My husband and I are 40 years old and my daughter is 9 years old. We looked at the fireballs with binoculars.
Occurred, the 1st of February 2003, 9 hours 25 minutes and 0 seconds. Local location, Crown Point, IN, USA. Shape, oval. Duration, 3 seconds. Know of observers, 1 characteristics, aircraft nearby. The CNN film footage of the shuttle before the breakup. On the 2nd of January 03 at 9 AM Central Standard Time, I was watching CNN and they were showing mission control when they first lost contact with the shuttle. Around 9:25 to 9:35 AM Central Standard Time, the first film footage was being shown and it definitely showed an object behind the shuttle. Before it, the shuttle started to break apart. Within the hour, that segment of that particular film footage was not being shown anymore. I have no idea what it was, but it was there, and to this date I have not heard anyone talking about it till I read it here on your site. Also, I do have it on VHS. Thank you.